Do you think your brother-in-law is cheating?" Looking at my sister-in-law's sneering smile, everything clicked. So, my husband's mistress is... But what I didn't expect was what happened next. My name is Marissa, a city slicker by birth, but at 45, I find myself increasingly longing for the slow life of the countryside. Retirement in the countryside, maybe with a garden. Sounds nice. The only countryside I've ever been to is my in-laws. Since marrying, I've been going back for long summer vacations and Christmas, and Thanksgiving if we can manage. It's a long trip, but my in-laws are so kind that I always look forward to seeing them. However, there was a time when these visits became a source of pain. It was 5 years into my marriage to Kevin. I was in my 30s. As usual during the summer break, we were dining with Kevin's family. Yara, my brother-in-law's wife, who was also visiting, asked, "By the way, don't you and Kevin plan on having kids?" Her words froze me. Kevin and I hadn't been blessed with children yet. Yara and my brother-in-law Adam, both the same age, had been dating since college and married when she got pregnant. They were childhood sweethearts, and both families supported their student marriage. By this time, they already had 3 children, and Yara was pregnant with a 4th. "Kids are great, the more the merrier. Siblings are just adorable." Yeah. Not knowing how to respond, I could only smile kindly. I might be overthinking it, but at the time, I was troubled by our inability to conceive. I thought it was natural for Adam and Yara, being married first, to have children. But now I see it's not a given. Years have passed, and I still haven't conceived. Maybe Yara didn't mean any harm, but such conversations had been happening since right after I got married. So much so, I wondered if she'd forgotten she'd asked before. Kristen, my mother-in-law, seemed to notice my feelings and smoothly change the topic. Until now, Yara would follow suit, but this year was different. It happened when Yara and I were alone in the kitchen. "Do you dislike children, Marissa?" "What? Why?" I was surprised by her question. I thought I was affectionate enough with Yara's kids, but maybe I did something wrong? "Well, if you liked kids, wouldn't you have them by now?" "What?" "You know, children are a gift from heaven. They choose their moms, like, I want to be born to this mommy. If you still haven't conceived, maybe you dislike children." That's not... Her words, though unrealistic, truly shocked me. Yes, people say that, and by that logic it means no child wants to be born to me. I know it's irrational, I know it's in my head, but at that moment it hurt like a thorn in my heart. Why can't we conceive? We've even undergone medical checks, enduring the embarrassment, but nothing was wrong. So why? I couldn't find the words to answer Yara. You do like kids. But Marissa, you're over 30. If you take it easy, you might not be able to have them. Hurry up, give this little one a cousin." Yara smiled, rubbing her belly, her smile seemingly tinged with spite. I had seen online discussions about pregnancy one-upmanship against the childless. Yara's behavior fit the description, but I wanted to believe she meant no harm. Otherwise, I'd feel even more miserable as someone being one-upped. That winter, on Christmas Eve, Kevin and I returned to his family home again. Adam and Yara, who lived nearby, were already there, her belly noticeably larger. Honestly, since last summer's vacation, I've been dreading seeing Yara. But I decided to let bygones be bygones and enjoy this visit. Just keep switching gears. "Marissa, any progress with having kids?" Every time we were alone, she would ask this, and my heart sank. But perhaps I'm being overly sensitive. I tried to respond without reading too much into it. "Well, it's tough. We're trying. Haven't you considered treatment? It's not like we have health issues, and treatments are so expensive without guaranteed results. If there are no health issues and you're over 30, not being able to conceive is abnormal." Her words felt like a thick stake piercing my heart. "Don't you know older mothers risk having children with diseases? It'd be pitiful if such a child was born. But I guess childless people can't understand that. Becoming a mom is wonderful. It makes you a better person. But if you can't, you should divorce Kevin. It's only fair to him, right?" Speechless, I excused myself with a lie about a stomachache and left. I cried secretly in the bathroom, worried my red eyes would betray me to Kevin and his family. Fortunately, no one seemed to notice. Even Yara, laughing cheerfully, asked if my stomach was okay. Infuriating. I've been struggling with not being able to conceive, and I've tried not to burden Kevin with it. I'm troubled by not being able to have children. I wouldn't want to hear that myself. I was at a loss. Voicing this worry was too painful. That night, everyone asleep, I went downstairs for water and saw a light in the living room. Peering in, there was Yara on her mobile phone. It struck me as odd. She hadn't gotten any water, just sitting there alone. She had gone to bed first, saying she was sleepy. If I can't sleep and I have to use my mobile phone, I might as well be in the same room as my husband. Why come to the living room to use her phone? I couldn't help but think of infidelity, like in those dramas. Stop it, I told myself. Then Yara left her phone on the table, heading to the bathroom. I unintentionally hid, feeling like witness to infidelity. That's ridiculous. As I went for water, I passed Yara's phone and saw a new message. Kevin. She had just received it, apparently chatting with someone named Kevin. My mind raced. My Kevin? They were childhood friends, but surely not. Troubled, I finished my water and returned to the bedroom. Kevin was awake. He said my noise woke him, but was that true? I couldn't sleep that night, and we returned home in the morning. Back home, Kevin showed no signs of infidelity, but my doubts lingered. Then, the following February, we were to celebrate Kristen's 60th birthday at my in-laws. I felt more anxious than ever. Was Kevin cheating with Yara? I had to find out this visit. I must stay strong, no matter what. Then, predictably, "Marissa, how's the baby making going?" Her persistence was exhausting. I slowly realized Yara had always found a way to be alone with me. Whether I was in the kitchen or helping Kristen clean, she'd join under the guise of helping just to get me alone. I tried to convince myself I was overthinking, but it was clear this was a case of pregnancy one-upmanship. As usual, but I'm leaving it to nature, I replied with a smile, which briefly twisted Yara's lips into a sneer. "Really? Still no luck? How many years have you been trying? Isn't that alarming? I thought I'd hear some good news by now." "Maybe you're not doing it enough. Normal couples conceive naturally. Maybe Kevin's fed up with an infertile woman and cheating on you." Her words were painfully timely, considering my recent suspicions about Kevin and Yara. The doubt I harbored about Kevin grew. I wanted to believe Kevin wouldn't do such a thing. Yet tears welled up, despite my resolve. Don't cry. Hold it together. At that moment, when I was completely clutching the hem of my dress to contain my tears, "You've shown your true colors. Get out," Kevin said, grabbing Yara's wrist. His parents arrived, saying, "This is unbearable. Leave, Yara." Huh? I was confused by what was happening. "I heard everything. Quite bold of you to say such things to my wife, Yara. Kevin's tone was gentle, but his face showed clear anger. His parents glared at Yara, and I noticed Adam was there too. Why should I leave? I'm the one who bore children of this family's blood. If I leave, Kristen and Tristan won't see their grandchildren. Is that okay? Yara retorted defiantly. That's even if they're Adam's kids. Yara visibly panicked. What do you mean? You've been cheating on Adam, Tristan accused. What proof do you have to say that? Yara countered. Kevin sighed. You've been unfaithful, right? We've already investigated. Huh? Kevin saying this? I was shocked. I had just suspected Yara's affair was with Kevin. I blurted out, You're not Yara's affair partner? Kevin looked genuinely surprised. What? Why would you think that? I've only ever been committed to you. You thought my love was lacking because I leave my socks inside out, even after you told me not to? Confusion painted Kevin's face while his parents laughed. How did it come to this? Well, I accidentally saw a message from Kevin on Yara's phone, and you were awake at that time, I explained, near tears. Kevin face-palmed. Someone else with my name. His parents chuckled. He only has eyes for you. It's not me. There will never be anyone but you for me, I promise, Kevin reassured, gently stroking my head. It seemed my fears about Kevin and Yara's affair were just a misunderstanding. Of course, without solid evidence, I wasn't fully convinced. But I was relieved to know the truth. Adam started to explain the situation, which began with Yara's pregnancy. Adam had always believed the child was his, but he grew suspicious when Yara rarely showed him the ultrasound. And just before our Christmas Eve visit, after searching his house, Adam found an ultrasound photo. It turned out that the baby was conceived while he was away on a business trip, convincing him of his wife's infidelity. He considered immediate divorce, but instead, wanting desperately to identify the other man, he enlisted the help of Kevin and his parents to monitor Yara's activities. However, as the birth neared and the man's identity remained unknown, Adam, frustrated, planned to confront Yara with the help of his family and Kevin, determined to force the truth out of her. It was then I accidentally blurted out about my pregnancy, prompting everyone to intervene at that moment. Should have been smarter in cornering Yara, but it's all a mess now. Wish I'd consulted Marissa about the affair. Adam laughed, but I was touched that the family wanted to protect me from Yara's harsh words. In the midst of this, Kevin said, Wait, Marissa knew the name? Great catch. So who is this Kevin, Yara? Glaring at her. Adam and Kevin's parents thought the same. Yet Yara only responded with, I didn't cheat, and this baby is Adam's, raising her voice. Recalling, I suddenly remembered a face. Ah, could it be Kevin, your friend? The one from high school who came to our wedding? What? Yara lost her words in shock, and everyone else seemed to remember, exclaiming in realization. If it's that Kevin, can't you just call him? He said he lives around here, right? I suggested. Yara grabbed my hand, pale and trembling. No, don't call him. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking a little. Yara, if you hate it that much, does that mean that's the person you're cheating on with? It is. When Yara stammers, Kevin says, if you don't answer properly, I'll call Kevin. Perhaps because everyone was creating an unforgiving atmosphere, Yara weakly confessed, that's right, as if thinking about it. Yara says she met Kevin at our wedding. Seems they were acquaintances through Kevin being a friend of hers. From there, Yara, feeling a bit stale in her own marriage, started venting her domestic frustrations to Kevin as a way to de-stress. Well, in short, Their initial relationship was just as venting partners. But as it turns out, Yara had harbored feelings for Kevin for quite some time. She had fallen head over heels for the grown-up Kevin. Despite her occasional hints, she went unnoticed at first, maybe due to her being married or just not being recognized. So they didn't contact each other much, and their friendship went unnoticed by Adam. However, things changed after they went out for drinks together while Adam was on a business trip. That's when she got pregnant with their child. Also, the reason behind her overly persistent pregnancy one-upmanship with me became clear. Apparently, shortly after the wedding, Kevin casually said to Yara, "Your sister-in-law is pretty, isn't she?" For Kevin, it was just a throwaway remark. He wouldn't have thought of getting involved with a friend's wife. But for Yara, who liked him, these words were incredibly humiliating. Initially, she thought that if she had a child, Kevin would see me as a respectable auntie, not just a pretty woman. That's why she kept asking me if I was pregnant, hoping we would have a kid. Thinking back, her initial queries were indeed light, just asking, "Any plans for kids?" But as no child came between us and I remained largely unchanged in appearance and physique, she grew jealous of me as a woman. She said, "If Marissa stays beautiful, Kevin might meet her somewhere and fall for her. What's so good about that infertile woman, who's inferior to both me as a woman and a being? I could bear his child." Well, that's just lashing out in every sense, a real hassle. From my perspective, I'm married and love my Kevin, so there's absolutely no chance of anything happening between the other Kevin and me. But for Yara, who fell in love with someone else despite being married, it seemed plausible. Why? If you love Kevin, why did you continue this marriage? Adam asked Yara sternly. "I did love you at first, but feelings can't be controlled. It couldn't be helped." Yara's defense sounded like a maiden in love, but wasn't really an answer. No one understood Yara's feelings with comments like, "That happens." Yara defiantly said, "It's fine, right? I'll properly divorce and take care of the child." "It's not about that. Didn't you think about Adam or the kids when you cheated? You've had 3 kids, yet you can't understand the feelings of children, let alone people." Yara, who had earlier bluntly told me, "You wouldn't understand kids' feelings since you haven't had any," realized this was my way of getting back at her and turned red with anger. "What's the deal? Even though Marissa hasn't had kids, she's cherished by Kevin and our in-laws. It makes no sense. I've given birth to the heirs for this family. Why am I the one being ousted? It's not my fault this happened. It's the environment and all of you to blame." Yara, crying and spouting her irrational theories, left Adam head in hands, their parents showing disgust and Kevin sighing. True, you might not be able to control romantic feelings, but remember, he who runs after 2 hares will catch neither. Liking both means you don't care about either. I spoke calmly, and Kristen snuggled up next to me saying, "That's so true. Sorry, Marissa, for not realizing you were being treated that way by Yara about the pregnancy." When I came in and heard Yara's words, I was horrified as a woman. It's understandable that she didn't notice. The pain of those who haven't conceived is hard to understand without experiencing it, especially since in front of the in-laws it was just about, "Any plans for the kids?" It's a topic that could even be asked at work, so it's easy to overlook if you don't think about it. But Kristen's attempt to empathize with me in her own way without understanding really touched my heart. She's truly a warm person. "If you say you're not at fault, then let's get DNA tests for all the kids. If you refuse, we divorce, and even if you agree, I'll only take my children and divorce you." Adam said sternly. Yara exclaimed, "No way!" But realizing she had no more allies given everyone's cold glances, she meekly said, "Okay, I'm sorry." Afterward, a DNA test, taken just to be sure, revealed that all the children except for the one in her belly were Adam's, leading to their divorce and Adam living with the children. Kevin initially planned to marry Yara, taking responsibility, but his parents strongly opposed it. You can't just be happy after causing suffering to a family and child, they said in a compelling argument, eventually leading Yara to become a single mother. Yara and Kevin had agreed to handle Adam's hefty compensation claims together, but with their split, Yara found herself unable to live in their shared home, burdened with high alimony, child support, and a baby to care for. Yara was disowned by her own family, being told not to return home, shamed. I had told Yara, "He who runs after two hares will catch neither," and it seems it came true. Meanwhile, Adam moved in with his in-laws, raising his 3 children noisily yet happily. I'm always ready to help in times of need. As for us, at 38, when we thought it was impossible, we miraculously conceived and had a girl. It was probably our first and last child, given our age and energy. When I found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed, feeling like it was a child who wanted to be born to us. Realizing that the hurt Yara had caused lingered until then, it vanished in an instant. I'm somewhat shy, just like my daughter, so park debuts and neighborhood friendships were hard, but all of it was enjoyable. I realized how mothers can push through anything for their children. Kevin, since the day he declared, "I'll cherish you more than ever to never be doubted again," has been incredibly sweet to me. Believe it or not, we still date every weekend at this age. Well, it might not be called a date now with a child. He's a loving husband who balances family and couple time, leaving us without worries. I'm truly blessed. I hope these days continue forever.